Step back in time to the 1800s in the United States, a period when the slave market had a peculiar obsession with light-skinned black young girls known as fancy girls. Quite astonishingly, white men would pay up to $2,000 for a fancy girl, an amount equivalent to nearly $80,000 today. To put this into perspective, with $2,000 one could acquire 500 acres of land or even 5 premium horses. A skilled craftsman of the time would need to work for a staggering 10 years to earn this sum. And brace yourselves, one of the highest prices recorded for a fancy girl was a whopping $5,233, around $200,000 in today's money. Indeed, owning a fancy girl became a status symbol among slave traders, gamblers, and saloon keepers. A dark chapter in history, yet one we must not forget.
Exoticals are often fetishized. I have a story time to tell about a situation that happened to me about a few years ago when I was in high school. And I had a friend, a best friend. We was real close. I went to her house every day to hang out. She had at least 5 siblings. She had an older brother and two twin sisters, and she had a big family. And I loved them. And I always went over there. I always felt safe with them, everything, right? And sure, this was definitely an exotical mixture of exoticals and unambiguous. It's a mixed family, basically. And my best friend, she specifically is what we would call a light-skinned monoracial black woman. So my friend had a older brother who was unambiguous. He was very, what's the word? He was a womanizer. He was one of them, because you got to understand, we was in high school. He was a little bit older than us. So he might, let's say I was a 9th grader. He was maybe a 11th grader. He was older than us. And every time I would come over to the house, he would always try to either flirt with me, or things would get to a point where he would put his hands on me and try to touch me in certain places, like my boob or my butt or something. And I was young, and I grew up sheltered. I didn't understand sexual harassment yet. I just knew this wasn't right. But he will always try to touch me in certain places. And I remember one day coming to her house. He will always try me every time I would come over. Like if me and my friend was in the room playing games. Because me and her used to play, I don't know if you guys remember that game, Midnight Club. If you guys play video games, I'm a game girly. Fun fact about me, I don't know, I like playing video games. But me and her, we was playing Midnight Club, and we was minding our own business. And here comes her brother come in the room and try to harass me, and he be trying to touch me in my ears and stuff, and just do the most craziest out the blue things to me. And one day I remember walking away from him, leaving that room and going into the living room, and he following me. And he started to overpower me, overdominate me by, I don't remember how it happened. It was a blur. I just remember I ended up on the floor, and he ended up on top of me in this really awkward position on some, I'm just playing, but I'm trying to pretend to kiss you in the ear and all of this stuff. I have a blurry vision of that day. But I remember that happening, of how I felt, and I was like, what? My friend, she didn't help me or anything, but I'm not going to put blame on her for not helping me. It was just, I don't know if she was scared of her brother, but I just remember feeling alone in that moment. And this was not my first experience being fetishized, but my first experience being sexually harassed. Yeah, and it seemed like from 9th grade on, I got sexually harassed more from guys than before. And I remember going through a level up between 8th grade and 9th grade because I wanted to look good for 9th grade. So I remember during that summertime, I worked out really hard. I was very disciplined. I drank water. That was my first time drinking straight up water. Since then, all I drink is water. Prior to that experience, I was a juice person. Now all I want to drink is water. Because of that particular summertime, I was disciplined. Yogurt in the mornings. I was disciplined and I got my body right and my skin right. I was going through puberty and all of this stuff, so I was starting to poke out in different places. I have a Coke shaped body, so when I'm in shape, you can really see that. And I'm young, I'm attractive already. I'm getting a lot of male attention, and I got harassed a couple of times by guys in the 9th grade at this particular house because I'm a military brat and we moved a lot. And this happened when we were stationed in Okinawa, Japan. We were stationed in Okinawa, Japan. In this house where my friend's brother sexually harassed me. From there, I was also sexually harassed by another guy friend that I trusted. He was a guy that I liked, and he liked me, and I haven't had sex at this point yet. Even though there's rumors about me being fast already in the family, I haven't had sex yet. I'm not going to have sex for another 3 years during this time period. I'm in the 9th grade, so. Anyways, I had my guy friend come over to my house, and we were just supposed to hang out outside and just talk, like innocent talking, but he manages to try and sexually assault me at my house in front of my door, and try to play with me in places. And when I didn't ask for that, I just wanted us to hang out, and because I liked you, I thought you liked me, but I guess you just want to have sex. I'm still a virgin, so I don't want to have sex yet. So it was very uncomfortable with him. It got very uncomfortable. Mind you, he was a good friend that I started to form a liking to. We kind of formed a liking to each other. And then I asked him to come over. And when we're young, we sneak and have friends come over. So I had him, if you could sneak and come over at this time before my parents come home from work, we could just hang out outside and talk. I was still a good girl in my sneakiness, but in all of that, he wanted something from me that I didn't want to give him. And another guy happened too. And this guy dated my friend, my best friend, another best friend of mine, not the one that I go to her house to, but another girl that I was real cool with at school. And she was dating this other guy, unambiguous black guy, real muscular, real tall. If you guys watch what's the show, the Power series, he kind of looks like Kane a little bit, a younger version of Kane. I'll never forget this guy, but he also liked me. And I remember, because we all lived in the same neighborhood, so I remember being outside with my friend, and he came outside, and he saw me, and he kept trying to, catcall me or whatever. And I come over to him because I didn't know what he wanted. I knew who he was because he dates my friend. And I'm like, what does he want? And he keeps trying to sexually touch me and grab me, and I don't know what he was on that day, but he kept trying to get me to go down on him. And I was like, no, I don't want to go down on you. He was like, we could go in the bushes right over there. It was something to that effect. He was trying to get me to go down on him in the trees out the blue. And I'm like, you're dating my friend and everything. I was like, and this boy, I had the nerve to actually undo his pants and pull out his Johnson out. and expose himself to me. He was like, well, you gonna do something? I was like, no. And I remember running away, leaving him exposed out, and he was just standing there looking stupid. I've been sexually harassed so many times, and this is just high school situations. In college, I would get raped twice by people that I trusted, because I was so gullible, and when you're a sheltered kid, you don't know a lot about the world and how evil people can be and how backstabbing and two-faced people can be. So I had to learn these lessons as they're happening, because I'm not being taught about how people can be two-faced, and how you gotta watch people and not let them in your space if you don't really know them like that. I just was trusting people so easily and letting people in my life, letting people around me who I just met and thought I was getting to know and thought I knew them enough. No, it's not safe, because I was in college in my dorm room one day, and my friend invited her guy friend over. He was drunk or whatever. We had 2 separate rooms, so you can think of a dorm room, or think of because our dorm room had like a kitchen in between. So we had a kitchen area, a common area, and then we had 2 rooms. So it was like a suite dorm room. So it was 4 of us. And I went in my room. My friend and her guest went in her room. And, I'm thinking I'm in my room watching TV, because I didn't go out like that. I didn't go party like that. I was a homebody. I'm still a homebody, but I was one of those good girls that thought partying was a sin. So I didn't really go out like that. I went to church on Sundays at the campus church. I was one of those girls. I just kept to myself. I minded my business. Only had sex with one guy at the time of this incident, and he was my first love. So I was really not the fast girl that people wanted to paint me out to be, because of how I was developing and how I looked. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, my friend guest just snuck his way up into my room drunk, and he just aggressively starts to just he sits on my bed, and I'm like, what do you want? Because mind you, me and him have at least introduced ourselves to each other, but I don't know you enough for you to just come in my room and sit by me. He was like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm watching. I forgot what I was watching, and I told him what I was watching, and he starts to put his hands on me, and I'm like, leave me alone, stop. And then he gets more aggressive with it and starts grabbing me in almost a forceful manner to put me down and pin me down. And then he was trying to grab my neck and force me to give him oral. I don't know if I can say oral without getting flagged, but he was trying to force me to go down on him. And yeah, after that situation, because it was very aggressive and forceful, and I eventually was able to push him off of me and everything, get him out of my room. But then when I go and tell my friend what happened, your guest tried to do this to me. She didn't believe me. She was laughing at me. And this is supposed to be my roommate, somebody I considered a friend enough to live as a roommate with her, and she didn't take my side. And they started to make fun of me because I'm calling victim to this guy sexually harassing me, because they wanted to believe him so bad. They wanted to have his back so bad. Like, he couldn't have done that. He couldn't have done that. She's making it all up. I moved out literally a week later out of that dorm room into another building in the quads. I was done with that friend group after that, because I was just like, nobody, you're not gonna have my back for real. Women don't just make up rape stories like you, unless something's wrong with her. You don't just make stuff like this up. And this would happen many times in college. Men would randomly just touch me out of nowhere, grabbing me onto me, forcing themselves onto me without my permission. And I'm fighting them off as best as I can, as hard as I can. I'm verbalizing that I don't want this. I'm not consenting to any of this. It's the amount of fetishization that I've been through I can see how, because I remember feeling very depressed as a teenager at a young age. I was depressed for a very long time, and it was only because I felt alone. I felt like I've been through so much. I was such a good girl. I had a good heart. I remember before all of this, college days, we're going to go way back to ninth grade. This was a little bit before around that time, because I was hitting puberty and everything. People thought I was fast because I was taking pictures on MySpace with like a cute top and like a mini skirt, but it was nothing sexual at all. But because my dress was above my knee, I was trying to get male attention, and I was being fast and all of these things from my mom. And so she's already have this idea of me in my head. And, she already has this idea of me in her head that I'm fast because of rumors from the last school that I had went to around the time. I went to this school that was in the hood for my first experience living in the hood, going to a school, all black people. I was bullied bad, and rumors were flying about me and sleeping with different people and all of these things. When I wasn't doing any of those things, it was just the amount of male attention that I was getting at that school was at an all-time high. Talk about the celebrity treatment is an understatement. I felt like a true celebrity at this school. It was mind-blowing. And the girls at the school saw these things and started rumors about me. And this town was so small that word got back to my mom that the rumors got around that I was sleeping around. She took their side over me. It was so bad. It was so disappointing that she took their side over me. I remember getting physically sick off of it. And I threw up one day. We was living with my grandma, and I remember throwing up. And I remember my mom, of all things she could have said at the time, like, am I sick? Do I need medicine? Or, she said, you better not be pregnant. Like, are you for real? I will never forget that. I remember after she said that, I was throwing up because I was hurting, because I was going through bullying at school, and I felt like nobody had my back. I felt like the security guards at work didn't have my back because I was trying to tell the security guard at school what was going on. These rumors are starting about me, and it's not true, because he was about to call my parents because some kids snitched on me at a school dance, saying that I was dancing provocatively with my boyfriend, and the security guard was involved, and he had to call my parents because of the rumors that were being spread. And the crazy part about it was we weren't dancing provocative. We were the only people in there that weren't dancing provocative. We were dancing more formal for the song that was being played at the time. I will never forget the song that was being played. It was the T-Pain song, Can I Buy You a Drink? Every time I hear that song to this day, I get triggered because of that school dance. When those girls got to the point where they brought security in and embarrassed me and escorted me out of the dance. And it was just because I was looking better than them. But they're not. But, it is what it is. And that was the moment, because when the security guard pulled me out the dance, and I was trying to tell them this is not true, they're making this up, they don't take my side. And then they call my mom, picks me up, she doesn't take my side, and I'm like hurt about all this. I'm like, I didn't even do anything. So I remember going home throwing up, and then my mom was saying that shit like, you better not be pregnant. Of all the things you could say as a mom, like, and it's funny to me because before we moved to this school, before this, we was living in Okinawa, Japan. We moved to this school because we're in the military. My dad was stationed from Okinawa to another duty station in Virginia, but because we didn't have our house ready, we had to still finish school, me and my 2 siblings. So we stayed with my grandma in the South for a little while to finish school, and the school was in the hood. So before we moved to this hood, she knew she was raising kids that aren't hood. So she had a talk with me, and she was like, before you go to this school, you got to understand it's going to be a lot different. People are going to treat you different. People are going to this and that. She was giving me a whole prep talk about how people are going to treat me at this school before I even get there. Like, she already knew people were going to treat me a certain way because of how I looked. She was giving me the pep talks. And then it happens. I'm experiencing it, and the aftermath is my body's physically sick, and it's just so wild how she prepped me for how things were going to be, how people were going to treat me. And then I tell her people are treating me this way, and she doesn't take my side anyways. So I went through so much trauma behind that. To this day, I'm no contact with my mom. I just went no contact with my mom, and I'm sticking to it. I just felt like she never had my back. I feel like people never had my back. I've been raped a few times in my life and assaulted more times than that, like way more. It hurts because I was always a good person to people, even when people did me wrong, even when people did me dirty. I was always kind to people. I would give the shirt off my back for anybody. But because of how I look, I get treated a certain way, negatively, by both sexes. I don't feel safe with either sex. That's why a lot of us attractive exoticals are really lonely. We don't trust people at all. People will set us up. And I'm even go here with it. Family members, if you're attractive in a family, a big family, like you guys, don't get it twisted. There are male family members that are looking at you, and I can feel it. I'm not gonna put anybody out there in my family that I feel like has looked at me up and down, but yeah, there's no chill with that either. There's no chill with that either. It's so cringy to hear it, but it's a thing. It really is a thing. It's not talked about enough. It's taboo, definitely nuanced, but it needs to be talked about because a lot of people are getting away with hurting women in their families because people don't want to tell what's going on, and because it's Uncle Todd but that's Uncle Todd. He would never, and you got to deal with all of that, and the family's going. It's a whole hot mess, but it's a real experience for a lot of us. But we're not allowed to talk about these things because that's Uncle Todd. He would never do that. But anyways. Yeah, we go through a lot. Attractive women. I'm not saying unattractive women don't get assaulted either. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just speaking on my experiences and what I've been through. A lot of the times when I was in college and I would date, I would think the guy has good intentions, but it was always he wanted something from me, a favor, It was always something that he eventually wanted to get from me. He wanted to taste that, if you will. A lot of these guys just want to brag about, yeah, they hit that. They hit that. They'll even make it up if it ain't even happened. They'll say it happened. But beautiful exoticals are always being fetishized. Even as young children. I've seen so many memes about young little children exoticals, but because they're so beautiful, people will make memes in a more smexual memes, if you catch what I'm saying. They'll make smexual memes about children. I've seen so many of them. But it's like you're always dealing with lustful men. And I deal with this every day that I go to work. When I was in school, I would deal with it. When I go to the gym, I deal with it. I've had men catcall me in the gym. When I'm minding my own business, working out, just have no respect. I've had people steal my pictures and pretend that they were me. And the church was real bad with the sexual harassment. Like real